welcome back to the Scotch Podcast. We are on episode 27 and we're going to be talking about the French trip today. So we are joined by, do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Sure. I am Miss Levy and I teach French and led the tour.
I'm Henry. I'm a Year 12 French student.
And I'm Mr. Hay. I was one of the added staff to the trip and brought the good energy. Yeah, not a French speaker.
Somewhat now, though.
Yeah,
somewhat.
Getting there.
Yeah.
Have you been to France before, Mr. Hay?
Oh, when I was like, 14, and I may have showed some photos of when I went there, and let's just say, bit of a glow up.
Bit of a glow up. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need a bit of an outline on the itinerary, I think. So were there any particular activities or excursions that stood out as a favourite?
I'll go first. I mean, the south of France is just a beautiful place. So the first week we were in the south was awesome because every afternoon we got to go and visit a different town along the coast. Aix was probably a highlight for me. I think that was really beautiful. And then when we got to Avignon, I reckon that we had a full day guided tour of Avignon and the surrounding Provence, and I think that stands out as highlight for me from the itinerary.
For me, in Paris, one night for our dinner, we did a cooking class. So we walked down to this, would I say it's a restaurant or?
It's I think it's a cooking school.
Like a cooking school. And we had 3 or 4 chefs that were just helping us to make a bunch of little French dishes.
Just on that, Henry made a very good French toast. I think he made 15 before he ate one, but it was very good. Yeah.
My chocolate mousse was also really good if you remember.
Oh, you don't want to see that. No, my highlight would actually also be the south of France. Yeah, I really enjoyed that part of the trip. The weather was beautiful. It was mid-20s, not really that windy. The first day actually in Monaco was very wet. So Miss Levy, Mr. Kasberger and I went on a bit of a tour to see where we were going and we got drenched. But otherwise, south of France was beautiful.
Because I think Paris is Paris and Paris is beautiful and magical, but the south and Avignon was much safer and more chill vibes than Paris is a bit stressful and a lot more busy and stuff, which just a different kind of energy. And also Paris was freezing, so we were all wearing t-shirts and shorts, and then we get to Paris and I'm wearing my Kathmandu jacket and layers.
Were there any landmarks that you did not get to see?
Oh, did not get to see. I mean, I'm sure there were, but I feel we covered off.
We got all the main ones.
We got all the big ticket items. We definitely saw I could list them, but that would be boring. We definitely saw
we didn't see the catacombs.
Oh,
we didn't see the catacombs.
Yeah.
We actually originally had it on the itinerary, but we took it off because I would be scared. So I thought the kids would also be scared. Maybe.
I think there was a few fears about the catacombs.
Yeah,
We did sleep above the catacombs.
We did.
Which we got told we had this late train to Paris, which we'll probably get to. But our tour guide was sort of talking through it and she was sort of saying, do you like scary stories? And we're like, yes. And then she said, well, you're sleeping above how many million?
6 million dead people.
Dead
or
people.
something.
And we're like, whoa, okay.
And she kept being like, should I go on?
Yeah.
So
yeah, we were there, but we didn't see them.
We didn't go in.
Because you can get lost.
Although
as well.
Henry was very keen to find the unofficial entrances, which people die doing all the time. So that was not happening, Henry.
Think those videos of the underground of Adelaide, but Paris catacombs.
Yeah.
Scary.
But to answer the question, I feel we did all the big ticket items.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
While over there, did going to the language school actually expand your vocabulary at all?
Henry?
Oh, well, for me, yeah, a bit. But I already had a lot of French speaking experience. So for me, I don't feel I learned that much. I didn't learn very many new words, but I definitely just became more comfortable with having conversations and speaking in French and listening. And I think for everyone else, they benefited a lot because, I mean, just on the first day, there was we could hardly talk to our teacher. And then by the end, we were all just having full conversations with her. And I think everyone else benefited a ton.
Yeah, I think it was that intensive experience, which is really useful for the language learning because obviously at school we have 5 or 6 45-minute lessons a week, whereas they were having like 4 hours of French, like in a block all together every day.
And our teacher didn't speak any English.
Yeah,
Like not a word.
And then like communicating with the like German and Italian students. I'm probably, were you doing that in English or French?
For English.
Okay, scrap that. But yeah, just that like more intensive. I mean, that was like 16 hours of French, which would take, I can't do maths, but like a few weeks at school to rack up those numbers. Yeah.
As soon as we got there as well, we were met by a couple of the sort of students, like maybe like 20-year-old students who were there. But then the guy who ran it, who I can't remember his name right now.
Was it G? Like Giles? but with a
Maybe
French
G,
accent?
yeah. He looked like French Pitbull, but he, not like the dog, like a Pitbull, but French. Anyway, and he just like was like just talking in French and about everything, about all the locations and stuff. And that was pretty overwhelming, I think.
Yeah.
But I think, by the end of it, everyone was like, loving it.
Yeah.
It was great.
And it was good to start with that because then I feel like it set the tone for like, we're in France, we're speaking French kind of thing for the rest of the trip when we weren't in that like, structured like learning environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how much French were you guys actually speaking on the trip?
Well, I feel like when we were at that language school, you were probably speaking more.
Yeah.
Like, because you had the classes. When we were in by ourselves, like, I mean, every time you ordered, like students would order their dinners and lunches and lots of ice cream every day in French, sometimes twice a day. I don't know why we got so much ice cream. Kids are just obsessed with getting ice cream. So if you ask any of the kids on the trip how to say, can I have a scoop of this and a scoop of that in a cone, please? They should be professional. Yeah. So like, I mean, obviously they were sort of still speaking English to each other, but as much as we can to interact with like ordering and stuff was all in French.
Although in Paris, pretty much everyone just speaks English. And if you speak French with like so much as a slight deviation to a French accent, they will just start talking to you in English.
Without even saying anything.
Yeah.
I feel like it's obviously a very like touristy kind of place where people go and like try and be like, oh, like, bonjour. And like people, they just like don't have time. So they're just like, I'm just speaking to you in English because I'm like, yeah. They're not very like patient. Whereas like in the regions, people are much more like, patient and like welcoming for you to have a go. And then people in Paris, I don't think it makes them mad. I think it's just like, they're like, I don't have time for this. Just like tell me what you want in English because I have like 50 other people here kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were there any major culture shocks when you first arrived?
The food.
Well, yeah, not for me because I have been to France a lot of times and lived there, and like Henry as well, like is probably an exception to the rule because Henry's already done a exchange experience and lived in France for a while, so there probably wasn't like culture shocks for you.
Well, yeah, no, not really.
But Mr. Hay, maybe.
I think one of the things is as a oat milk coffee drinker. In the south of France, I think it's definitely still like a stronghold for just being like, we don't want any of that different stuff. So we would ask for, Mr. Kasberg and Miss Bailey and Miss Levy would ask, for like a soy milk or an almond milk or something like that, and they'd be like, no.
But the highlight was this one lady at this one cafe who let me go through every single type of milk, asking if they had it, and she would just be like, nope, 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 nope. Like, let me list every single one to then be like, only cow's milk. And it's like, you could have just led with that and saved me like the past 5 minutes of just listing every milk to see if you have it.
Yeah.
But the food, that wasn't authentic French food at the language school.
Like,
we can put it that way.
cafeteria food at the language school.
But it was good to start with that because then I feel like the rest of the time when we were eating like good food, you like appreciated it more.
Oh, the first meal that we had in Avignon at that restaurant was like the best thing I ever had in my life.
Yeah.
What was that? I can't remember.
We went to one of those restaurants in that square.
Was that when you tried? You had snails.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we had snails. Yeah, we had snails the first night, and I think I might have had maybe pizza or
there was lots
something.
of pizza, pasta, burgers,
Yeah.
lots of burgers and chips.
Yeah.
Although the French do a good cheeseburger.
And when you order a cheeseburger, they're like, how do you want your meat? And you're like, I've never been asked that before. But you would say, en poire. Which mean-
point.
à point, which
Close.
means, it means to the point, so like medium rare.
Or like you could say bien cuit, which is like well done. Like I'm not a steak eater, but yeah, like well cooked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they ask you for your burger.
Yeah.
I reckon the other thing that like everyone didn't expect is that French breakfast is like so sweet.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing savoury at all. There's no like, there's only baguette is probably the only savoury thing, and then everything else is like it's like jam and crepes and croissants and chocolate croissants and even there's like cereal and it's got chocolate chips in it.
4 blocks of chocolate.
which
Yeah.
sounds great, but I think like then you realize it doesn't actually like fill you up. So it's like, oh my God, it's so cool. Like look at this breakfast. It's all just like sugar. But then like I think that first week at the language school, there was a few like that were like struggling a bit with like hunger to get to lunch because like they haven't actually like eaten anything like proper, just
Yeah.
like sugar. I can't explain the science behind that any more than that, but I just feel like stuff that's just sugar doesn't actually fill you up.
Very
Yeah.
sweet breakfast
Yeah.
instead of our savoury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone just wanted eggs, I think.
Yeah. Did you have eggs when we had them at the hotel?
We didn't get that luxury.
Oh, we were le budget, not le budget.
There was we had to split over 2 Ibis hotels in Avignon, and one just happened to be the Ibis budget, and that just happened to be the exact
Let's
right
put the
number to
boys
put
in
all
the
the
budget
boys in the
hotel.
budget hotel. So like
With Mr. Hay.
I did not live down the whole time, especially from Jake Pryor. Shout out to you, Jake. But they were really unhappy about being in the budget, which like the lady was like to me, no, it's like it's like basically exactly the same. Like it's the same thing. It's just like a different, like label. But we did find some differences. But they were like,
The other one had running water, had electricity.
No rats in the hallway.
But see, they were pulling my leg like about that kind of stuff. So then I didn't believe like when we figured out we actually had a way nicer breakfast than them. But I was like, you're pulling my leg because they were saying, oh, we don't have lights and like electricity. Like obviously
Miss
you
Levy,
do.
You know how I told everyone that the power and hot water shut off at like 9 every night? Grace believed that, and she only told her that it didn't like last week.
See, boy who cried wolf here. There's a moral of that story, but I don't know where we were going, where that came from. Ibis budget. Well, we're
It's a
talking about
shock.
Oh, the shock. Oh, the shock
Culture
of the Ibis
shock.
budget.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was asking if you had eggs at the in
No.
Paris. There was
Oh,
eggs at the breakfast.
No. Oh yeah, they're like boiled eggs.
Yeah, boiled
Yeah,
eggs.
hard boiled.
Yeah. No.
I hate boiled eggs.
Okay. We can move on from that discussion.
How do school tours like the French trip benefit students?
I think there's the probably more like obvious answer of like language development for students studying French, and like speaking from my own experience of going on an exchange during uni. There's nothing quite like being in country and having like an immersive experience for learning a language. Like there's nothing that can quite replicate it in a classroom. So the language, and even just like, in Paris when we weren't necessarily speaking French all the time, but like just hearing it and reading signs and all those kinds of things, which like they probably didn't even realize they were like picking up on little words, but they'll be like, oh, I know how to say it like that because I know how to say ticket because I just like read it all the time kind of thing. But I think, and I'll pass the mic to Henry in a second, but I don't want to speak for students, but I think the intention as well is definitely like, it's a big growth sort of moment, opportunity, experience, because it's a pretty big thing for, we had some, I think the youngest we had had just turned 15, 15, 16, 17-year-olds to go overseas without their family, with school, and, there's certain skills that you just develop and pick up without even like really trying, like, independence and resilience, because obviously things don't always go right, and there's always hard days and highs and lows in every day. So like emotional resilience and growth, and also like caring for each other, because I think we really saw that a lot in how the students were interacting with each other. And like thoughtfulness and gratitude, and also just experiencing like a world outside their own, because for some students, they've never been overseas before, or we can get so like in our own bubble, in our own world, in our everyday life. So to like experience another culture and in-country experience is pretty cool, and sort of just opens your eyes up to the world a little bit. And I think like as well for French students, as well as they learn language, they also we try and teach culture like in class, but again, you can only teach culture so much before you can experience it. So from like a French teacher perspective, it was really cool to see lots, like I would say most of the students hadn't been to France before ever. To see them, like actually experiencing the country that we've been like learning about for so long in class. Henry, did you want to add anything there?
Yeah, from the students' point of view, I think that it was really cool that we just were with all these people from other year levels, and for me, I hadn't even met like most of the other kids, and I was able to make a lot of friends with people that if I didn't go on this trip, I probably would never have even spoken to. So it was awesome to just make a lot of new friends, and yeah.
Henry, just to add, Henry was a great leader and a role model for the younger boys in particular, because he was the only year 12 boy and all the other boys were year 10s, and you did a really great job.
Thank you.
Henry was great actually in my group too, because my group, because that was an inside joke. Sorry for those at home. But with Henry, he was like our bit of a leader for me, because I obviously am not the best French speaker. So Henry in my group was able to take that on board, which was great.
Yep.
Thanks, Henry.
You're welcome.
This is a Henry appreciation podcast.
Were there any unexpected challenges or surprises along the way? The bus trip.
Well, yes. Well, essentially, the story with the bus is that we were getting a coach to the train station in Avignon to then get the train, the TGV, which is like the fast train, to Paris. And apparently there are 2 train stations in Avignon. So like this is all arranged, right? Like this is all through like the agent, and they have like the French like partner and stuff. And so like the bus is just there to pick us up, and like we get on the bus with all our stuff, and he just this is what happened the whole trip, where we just got picked up and dropped off. And so like you don't question like, do they know where they're going? Dropped us off at the station, which was like the TGV station. Like it said, this is the TGV station. So I was like, cool. And then we were like, oh, cool, we're here so early. Like we're going to grab some lunch. Like we were just chilling, like taking our time. And then like at the point we arrived, it was so early that like it wouldn't have even been on the board yet, because I looked and it was like not up to that time. So I didn't like think anything of it. And then like we're just sitting there, and I was like looking at the board, and I was like, my train is not showing up. And I was like, at the point I was still like, oh, like it's got to be there, right? So I went and asked the person who, not to stereotype, but we experienced a little bit as well. Sometimes French people in like jobs like that are not the most like helpful. And so I was like, oh, like I showed him, and I was like, this is our train, like, and he was just like, oh, like you're at the wrong station. And I was like, okay, what? And so yes, alas, we were at the wrong station. And like the kicker is the actual station we needed to be at was like literally like a 5-minute walk from our hotel. Like maybe not even, like I don't even know why we were getting a coach in the first place. We literally could have walked there in probably less than 5 minutes.
I think the confusion was that the station that we were meant to be at has one train out of there in the entire day, but the one that we went to first has like pretty much all of them.
Yeah, so like the one we actually went to, which I think what happened in the end was just that the driver just like assumed, like didn't look and just assumed we were going to that station because we were going to Paris, because like, I don't know, let's just say 90% of the trains to Paris go out of that station. And then, so then it was just like, yeah, I had called the person to like get the bus driver to come back to pick us up, to take us back to the other station. And I was like, in my head, I was like, we're not going to make it. Like I'd already resigned to the fact that we weren't going to make it, but like there was still a chance. We had to try. So we like briefed all the kids, who were amazing at this, by the way. We were like, when the bus gets here, like you just like throw your bag on and you get on the bus and you sit down and you put your seatbelt on, and like when we stop and we get to the other station, like you just run, you grab any suitcase, like you just leg it. And so eventually he came back. We all like, they were great. Like that, yeah, 10 out of 10, record time. Got on like, because we have all our massive suitcases as well. Like, so we had to like get all the suitcases back on the bus. Then it was like not even far, but like obviously like we're on a bus and we had to like around and whatever. And we get to the right station, and like Mr. Kaspergen was like, okay, if someone can take my bag, like take an extra suitcase, I will like sprint to the front to like stop this, because it was like minute by minute we were going to make it maybe.
We were so close.
Kaspergen,
so,
he got there.
Yeah, so this is an example of French people like sometimes not being the most like friendly and helpful. Is like, so Mr. Cass, so it's just like, if you can imagine, like this is probably my funniest visual, is like, because I was at the back, is like everyone just literally running for their lives. Like they get off the bus and you grab any random suitcase, and we had to look sprinting this massive group, and like I dropped my suitcase and like fully like fell over because my backpack was too heavy, so I like tumbled over, and like Evie and Izzy are like actually like cannot stop laughing, but like, and we had to run upstairs. It was like so dramatic. But so what happened was Mr. Kaspergen made it. Like the train was still there, and he's like banging on the door or whatever, and the people in there are just looking at him like, sorry,
Quel dommage.
like
Quel
yeah, quel dommage. You were like, so we
What a
we were
shame.
there, like we could have made it, and they just did. Like the driver probably would have seen him as well, and just like whatever. So we literally, then we all were there, and we just watched it like drive away. So that was, yeah, at the time, like for me as like the leader, it was like not funny at the time. It was like rather stressful because I was like, oh my god. Even though like obviously logically, what's the worst thing that's
Paris
gonna
is
happen?
gone. We'll never get there.
Like logically, the worst thing that was going to happen was we had to wait till the next day to get the train and like stay another night in Avignon, which like wouldn't even have been bad. But you know, you're just like, oh my god,
The la budget.
at le budget. But we ended up just getting like the night train. Well, the night train, that sounds so dramatic. Like a later train in the night, and like just had a few extra hours in Avignon, which was like not bad.
I think everyone actually liked that too.
Yeah, and I think they loved, like they thought it was hilarious. Well, we'll let Henry speak on this, but like the impression was the kids all thought it was hilarious and like loved it.
It was, yeah, kind of. I mean,
He's like, no.
it was pretty funny.
But we had like straight away, we were like, oh my God, what are they all saying? Like home. Because like straight away, everyone's like filming everything and like calling home. So it's like, let's control the narrative.
It was
like,
fine.
It was fine. Like we were never going to be stranded in Avignon. But yeah. But luckily the, her name was Alice, I think, the like French travel partner for our, travel agent kind of thing, like just happened to be in Avignon, and she didn't even live there, and because she was like, I'm going to go to the station and ask them to hold the train. Like it was very dramatic, but obviously she didn't help. But
I think it was.
Yeah.
I actually think it was a good moment because we got the pro of actually staying in Avignon for the afternoon, and then like you're gonna miss trains, you're gonna miss buses when you're overseas.
Yeah.
So I think it's good for the students to go, hey, it's actually not all that bad.
Yeah.
You can just catch the next one, just hang around, play some cards on the stairs outside the station for a bit.
yeah,
It was fun.
yeah, no, it was funny. It was funny. It's a funny visual I have in my head of just like everyone just like yeeting it with these massive suitcases. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did anyone come back with a beret?
There were a few girls
Yes, there's a
Yeah.
few matching beret. Not red though. They went for grey.
I got a red one for my mum because when I went when I was 14, I lost it. So she's got a red beret.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a nice full circle moment.
Yeah. So she's got a red beret back.
Henry, you didn't buy a beret.
No, I didn't buy a beret. I bought a €0 note and it cost me €3.
Where did you buy that?
I bought that in they were all over the place. There was one in the Arc de Triomphe, but I got it in Napoleon's tomb.
What a place.
In the tomb.
Yeah, in the tomb.
What a
I bought a
From the
€0
tomb.
note.
Everyone's respecting the tomb. They're just like, yes, euro, €0.
Yeah, there were a few berets bought, but not really. Did they? Oh, those girls did wear them once.
Yeah,
I
they had the
think.
grey
Yeah,
ones.
they did. Yeah.
Lots of baguettes.
Lots of
Lots of
baguettes.
scarves.
Lots of scarves. Yeah, Jake Pryor loved the scarf.
Yes, lots of trench coats. It was a trench
Yeah.
coat moment in Paris.
Yep.
Yeah, the nude beige kind of trench coat.
The trench coat Jake got from that thrift store, that was a good find.
Yeah.
€10.
10, yeah, that was
Yeah.
pretty good. We did some thrift shopping actually one day when we were going. Bit of a choose your own adventure of where you want to go do some shopping. We were talking about vintage shops, and so we had a look about this like sort of this area in Paris. Hopped on the underground and away we went. Like how many did we go to?
Like 10, I reckon.
Yeah.
And they were all like the same kind of brand, but they just
Yeah.
had shops up and down this street.
Fripstar, that's what it was called.
Yeah.
Because it's a La Friperie. Or La Friperie. I'm not very good at pronouncing.
Yeah,
Freepstar.
that's
Fripstar.
Something
Yeah,
like
cool.
that.
Cool. Yeah, that was good. What did you get? What did you buy?
I got that I got like a kind of like a shirt or a jacket. I don't know what you'd even call it, but it was similar to the one you got.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah,
I got-
green actually. We got like the same one.
Yeah, they were really similar.
Yeah.
And I got some sunglasses and
What about the
Oh,
bandanas?
your son.
oh,
These
and we
Bandanas.
got some bandanas.
Matching bandanas actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it you, Tommy, and Raph?
No, it was me, Raf, and Rex.
Rex.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
We were thinking that we should add snail to the canteen menu. Do you have any tips on how to make snail?
Lots of garlic.
Garlic and
Yeah.
butter. Yeah.
All the garlic.
Like all you can taste is just
Well,
garlic
they
and butter.
actually taste like chicken, I reckon.
Yeah. They're not. They're
They
actually
do.
really
They
good.
taste like chicken, but they just have like a different texture.
I think they just like lather them in garlic and butter to just. I mean, they don't even taste bad, but
I swear they taste like chicken.
yeah, they're just like they're quite maybe a bit chewy, maybe like a really chewy chicken.
How would you
Yeah.
How would you serve them? Would you like go on spring rolls, put them in a bag, or like?
Well, that's the thing. And for me, the only gross thing I find about snails is like the visual, because like they actually taste yum.
And the thought.
And like the visual when they come out
The
and they're all
thought
in their
gets me.
shells, you're like, that's gross.
The
That's a
thought.
snail. And you have to like, you get the little fork thing and you like dig out the snail from the shell. Like that's the only gross thing to me is like the visual, but they actually take, if you didn't know what it was.
Yeah, if they're served on it, because they might be served and they might be in their shell still, and you have to like fork.
But do you
them
know what
out.
is good? Putting the actual like slug in like bread, like in a nice baguette.
bread
So
slug?
there you go. That's how I would serve it. I would
didn't-
serve it with like, I don't know how you like present it, but you get that you have like, let's say you have like 3 snails and then you have like a nice crusty baguette.
How much would 3 snails cost? At the canteen.
I don't know. I don't really.
Canteen prices maybe like
Canteen.
$5.
$5.
That's
So,
pretty.
yeah.
That was pretty cheap.
I don't know.
It
Where are,
would
they, where are
be-
they getting the snails from though?
It would be a special though. It wouldn't be a regular.
Maybe we could have it. We could. So we could
Snail
have it for Languages
nachos.
Week.
Instead
Snail
of making crepes in
nachos.
class, can we make snails?
Oh my god. No, that would be funny. They have them at that French restaurant on King William Road. What's it called? Something Francais, Bistro Francais or something. They're good.
Would you recommend going to a school? Wow, that was not even right. Would you recommend going on a school language trip?
I feel like Henry should answer this one.
Yes, 100%. If you're in year 7, 8 and 9 and you're thinking about doing French in the senior school, even if you aren't planning on doing it in the senior, like in year 11 and 12, do it in year 10 because you might get a chance to go on the next trip, and it's probably one of the best things I've done at Scotch. And I'd say it might be my favourite trip I've ever done. I just had like the best time, and it was awesome because like on a family holiday, like you're with your family and all that, but on the school trip you're with some kids you know, some kids you don't, but like at the end of the trip you're all mates, and it's just a great opportunity to get to know more people and have a lot of fun.
That was beautiful.
I would
Thank you,
definitely
Henry.
recommend it. Yeah. As someone who doesn't act like I didn't speak any French, right? So going to the trip, I think I sort of absorbed a little bit here and there. So even if someone's probably doing French and they are not super confident, I think it's probably one of the best things you could do because, as Miss Levy said before, like you're around it all the time, you're absorbing it, you're hearing it, you're listening, you're reading it. And yeah, like you're just going to gain so much from that kind of trip, building on the language.
And I think as well, yeah, like obviously we haven't been able to go because of COVID since 2018. So like, I'm like, do it for all those students that did year 11 and 12 French and didn't get to go to France. Like, let's do it for them. Like, shout out to you, Jemima Worsma.
Yeah.
Not that she's listening to this probably, but
She's also subscribed.
maybe is subscribed. But yeah, like it's a pretty special, like I think we can maybe take it for granted. They're like, oh, we do a French trip at school, but like not every school has a French trip or overseas trips or any trips. So it is definitely like a privilege, and like from my perspective as well, to be able to do something like this with students is pretty special. So yeah. And it was just like fun, wasn't it? We just laughed so much.
just
Like
fun,
I just
yeah.
think about laughing all the time and like saying my tummy hurt because I laugh so much that I like, you know, when your core hurts because you're laughing
That was
so much.
because Miss Levy kept talking about Pink Panther all the time.
It was actually on TV the other night. I didn't watch it though. But I didn't get a 6-pack. I thought I was going to come back with a 6-pack from laughing so much, but I
It's a
didn't.
lot of fun.
I didn't. And I feel like, yeah, that's it. That's that.
Yep, and that's all the questions. So thank you for coming and talking about the French trip. Sounds like a lot of fun. Kind of said I didn't go. Damn, should have done French for that extra year. You know?
Yeah, there you go. Learn from Caitlin's mistakes, everyone.
Yeah. And that's that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.